check in. Check in. We have a great topic for you. We had a little bit of a hiatus.
Yeah.
Had a lot of family, had a lot of celebrations, but we are here.
Yes.
And a topic that I think is, we haven't quite said it quite this way. This isn't very, what do you call that? Fancy or intellectual or super.
I think it's just something that keeps coming up.
It keeps coming up. What is that? What is it that keeps coming up?
The idea that in a marriage, in a relationship, you have to be willing to sacrifice for the other person. And you can't live out of only doing what's comfortable for you.
You can't live out of what's comfortable for you. And what was the other part? Say it one more time.
And not think that you're gonna have to do some things that are not comfortable for you because they please your spouse.
Because not expecting to have to do things that are uncomfortable for you at some point or matter because they're gonna help please your spouse.
Right. Some people just never do anything out of their comfort zone, whether their spouse wants it or not. Now, they can explain it. They can say, oh, I know my wife wants me to do this, or I know my husband wants me to do that, but I'm not doing that. That's not going to work in a friendship. There are some things you're going to have to do because you know the other person enjoys it, even though it's not your comfortable zone.
Yeah. In a nutshell, selfishness.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's what it is.
Bottom line, in a nutshell, it's selfishness.
I guess that's what it is.
The reason I think this is important is this. A lot of times we can frame things that are going on in our marriages from the point of view of communication. We can frame things from the point of view of differences of style.
It's true.
We can do it from the point of view of my wife's issues and she's controlling and, and he's this and he's that. But one of the things we don't do enough, and I think I think I'm almost done a disservice not saying it enough, is bottom line is the sin and the selfishness that comes from sin. That doesn't sound very psychologically deep, but the truth is this: selfishness is probably the unspoken demon behind a lot of marriages not doing well. When I say selfishness, like what we had talked about before, it's this rigidity that you really can't imagine things from your spouse's perspective, and you're not really thinking about maximizing their well-being. And the irony is, and I'm guilty at times, so I know what this feels like, you don't feel guilty about it at all. Usually when we're very selfish, the idea of feeling bad about it or feeling like, man, that needs to change is not even there. We have more of a sense of the spouse got issues. Is that a good way of saying it?
Is it that you can't imagine it, or is it that you know what they want? You're just not willing to do it because it's uncomfortable. It's something you really just don't like.
But that's true.
And you don't feel bad about it because you just chalk it up to, we just different.
That's it, yes.
And she's always trying to convince me to do it. She could talk to the sky turn blue. I'm not doing it.
Because she's crazy. or she's asking too much, or she's too controlling.
Yeah, or she's pushing it too hard. Or
I'm not like that. Or
I'm not like that. I don't do that.
Yep. Selfishness is the one thing that is at root. If you want a real marriage killer, selfishness, and that specifically, I want to be specific, that point of view where, again, you can't see things from your spouse's perspective. You don't want to, and you're unwilling to think, I'm here to benefit and bless this man or this woman. I'm willing to do things that are awkward for me, but will benefit her or him. I'm willing and I'm going to look for things that are supportive of my spouse that may have nothing to do with me directly. And even if, and here's the big two I's, if I'm inconvenienced or interrupted.
Right.
We don't want to be inconvenienced and we don't want to be interrupted, and yet we want a great marriage. We want intimacy. We want closeness. We want to have this. We want to have that.
That's true.
And to be honest, if you don't rule out selfishness, it's going to be really hard to come up with solutions to things unless you can begin there.
That's great. You know what I thought about when you were talking? I think about the things that I love about you is you're not a natural dancer. And you didn't grow up dancing and doing all of that. And
I can't believe you just said
sometimes it could be uncomfortable for you.
Yes.
But because I love to dance, when we go someplace, you stay on the dance floor with me the entire night. And that's not what you would do, and you wouldn't do it if you weren't with me. Mm-hmm. And so you do it only because I love it. You've even learned how to dance because I love it. And that's just one example, but there's so many people who will sit in a chair and let their wife or let their husband dance on the floor all night by themselves. Because it's just, I don't do that. I don't dance. I never have. This is how I was when she met me. This is how I am right now. You know, you have all your reasons, but it makes for a great friendship when you become something because it makes your spouse happy.
Absolutely.
And that's the pushing past the selfishness.
Absolutely. Look, I want to give you something. And by the way, if you're thinking about your spouse, by the way, I mean, you may title this something like When Your Spouse is Selfish. It's probably you. One of the catches with selfishness is it really is hard to see it in yourself.
Yes.
And we tend to put it on the spouse. We'll find somehow, like I said, I felt it. I know what that's like. The truth is, if you're probably thinking strongly about your spouse, I'm not a prophet, it's probably referring to you. So I want to encourage you. Do something this week that is awkward for you, that is inconvenient for you, that's going to interrupt your life simply because it will encourage your husband or your wife. And until we meet again, let's see how that challenge goes.
Thank you.
Thank you. This has been great.
Find more of our videos on our YouTube channel, Mind Change. Let us know what you think. Add comments, ask questions, give suggestions for future topics. We love to hear from you.